Well, then let's keep it to Roosters. All right.
Isn't there a football team
We
named
are
after Roosters?
Good. No. I don't know.
Could have sworn.
Well, it seems like there's still that issue with Twitter because it's not letting me go live there. But we're still good on Facebook and YouTube. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone into the Mile High Roundtable. This is going to be a little bit of a different episode because we haven't played a game in like 7 months, it feels like. So there's not really going to be a game recap, but we still have plenty of things to do. Before we get into anything, I just want to introduce everybody. I am Mundungus Creevy, a.k.a. Broncos Wizard. It's different for them. Also, in the podcast with me is a 6'10" Mexican. He is the man that is taller than the fence in my backyard. And then there's also Glenn, the man with the live-in Broncos Museum. Now, you may have noticed that Christy's not in with us. She will be in soon. She had something she had to take care of real quick, but she'll be in. And I'll introduce her little goofy thing when she comes on the podcast. But we want to make sure that everyone is following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. Turn on the notifications. Follow us on Twitter at MHRT Podcast. And also go to our Facebook page and like and follow. And now we're going to head into the main part of the podcast. I love that song. It's really loud in my headphones.
Mine too.
All right. So before we get into the football stuff, there are two things I want to cover. Number one, we want to send our thoughts and our prayers to Chad. He's having, I don't want to get into it. I haven't cleared it with him. But thoughts and prayers to him as he's dealing with the issue he's dealing with. Also, it's Duke's birthday. He turned 89 today. So happy birthday, Duke. I'd give you a cake, but I don't.
Still chasing those ducks, Duke. Never give up, man. Never give up.
Okay, so the big news right before we got onto the podcast. Le'Veon Bell was signed, or is signing, or signed with the Chiefs.
I believe it's in the process, but his choice is, I was going to say New England, Kansas City.
Okay. I mean, I get it, I guess, but Allaire obviously is the better running back. I don't, and based off what we've seen in the last year or two, I mean, granted it was the Jets, but he's not the Le'Veon Bell from the Steelers. So other than a better than average backup, I don't see him really doing much.
Yeah, this is kind of the same thing that happened last year when the Chiefs picked up LaShawn McCoy. It just seems like another person that wants to ride on the coattails of not just Patrick Mahomes, but the Chiefs in general towards possibly winning another Super Bowl. So it's not about the money because the Chiefs aren't going to be on the hook for that giant contract that'll probably come back to haunt them next year if they even want to keep him, which I doubt. So I think that it would have been better for Le'Veon Bell to have gone to like Buffalo, maybe. Well, not so much Miami because Miami has that other running back Gaskin, and they have Jordan Howard. So they have they're decent running backs. They're not the greatest, but even those two guys are better than what Le'Veon Bell has done the last 2 years. Hell, and Buffalo they really needed a running back because Singletary and I forgot the name of the other running back. They really don't have that running back action going for them. So I just think this was all just a stunt show.
And who's the other running back that the Dolphins have? They signed from the Niners.
Oh, there's a third running back?
Breida.
Oh, Breida.
Yeah, Breida.
Yeah. So you have Gaskin, Breida, and Jordan Howard.
Yeah. So I don't think they would have needed him, but I don't think he's going to be make that much of a difference.
See, I'm hoping he makes a huge difference in the chemistry. I'm hoping
Negative
he ruins
difference.
that team with his antics. And
Screw you, Chiefs.
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
That it's the same Le'Veon that was in Pittsburgh and then in New York.
Yeah. All right, so we want to welcome in Big E Bronco, ZWD. He's in here. Landon's in. We've got Vic and Adam Sears and Steve Griffith. Thank you so much for joining us. We love having you here. In case you haven't been here before, we are a fan-led podcast, a fan-based podcast, and it, nobody here is a sports writer or a professional in anything. We're not professional at all. So, it's we're giving different takes on what we think about the Broncos. It's more of a fan point of view, not a. I don't even know where I was going with that, so I'm just going to stop because I don't.
Well, and we also welcome their point of view as fans themselves. So
yeah, it's going to be a little bit more. I want to say interactive, but maybe not. More
conversational.
Yeah, conversational with their opinions and our opinions, and going from there.
Yeah.
Steve Griffith's got it right there. No, not that one. That one.
But just to kind of piggyback off of Mike was saying, we're really grateful for all the views that we've gotten over the last couple of weeks and videos, and everybody that's, whether you're here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, it doesn't matter. We're just glad you're here. We hope you enjoy the content that we put out, and we hope that you continue to be here as we continue to grow as a channel and as a family.
This is kind of fun. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to get scolded because Christy's not in here.
Not yet.
Keeping tabs on me.
But Mama Bear's on the way.
Mama Bear's on the way. Okay, so getting into, I wouldn't necessarily say it's Broncos news. It's more news that could be related to the Broncos or have something to do with the Broncos. So, like, for example, one of the big stories is that it seems like Dwayne Haskins is going to be released from the Redskins, and for some reason, he's been tied to the Broncos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't understand where these analysts get every time they release a quarterback or somebody that's like not worthy of even playing in this league, they automatically get tied to Denver. It's like, this quarterback is going to get cut. He'd be a great fit. He'd be
perfect
in Denver.
on the Broncos.
Yeah. Everything leads to always being tied to Denver, and that just starts a storm of I don't even know if it's questions. There's just people that get caught up in it. Like, oh yeah, Dwayne Haskins, he could be a great replacement for Drew Lock, and it's like, no, he can't.
He would be a great replacement for Bortles at this point.
Not even that, because Bortles at least was close to going to a Super Bowl 3 years ago. When he was with the Saxonville. So, these analysts or whoever it is that keeps projecting all these players that the other teams don't want to come play for Denver, stop, for the love of God, And Le'Veon Bell, I know, was the latest one that was rumored to come to Denver, and it's like, we don't need him.
Well, and a lot of that picked up after, and we'll just go into it. A lot of that steam picked up after Melvin Gordon got his DUI. Yeah. People were like, well, screw this guy. He's not worth the money. Let's go get Bell. Well, Bell would have been a little bit more money, in my opinion, or at least he would have asked for more. I think that Melvin Gordon is the better running back. I think that it would have been a waste to go after Le'Veon Bell, but I get it.
No, I understand. And, I already read all the reports that he already called John Elway and he apologized, and, same thing with Fangio and his teammates. But when you look at the core of why he did what he did, he really hurt himself a lot more. And nothing he says or does can fix that, because he got the chance to prove to not just the coaching staff, but to fans everywhere that, he was going to be worth the investment that Denver put in him. Whether you agreed that Denver's overpaid him or not, that's a different story. But he had the chance, and he actually did pretty good. He went out there. He didn't have the best of games, but he did just good enough where he won us the game against the Jets. And now all that credibility is just shot out the window, and he has to rework to try to gain some of that trust back. And with Philip Lindsay back in the picture, that just gives the Colorado kid more ammo in the eyes of Broncos fans everywhere that he is the guy.
Right. I mean, the timing for him couldn't have been worse. Really, people had finally stopped focusing on his salary, and they were talking about the catch at Pittsburgh. They were talking about his performance against the Jets. How he really kept things going and things afloat in the backfield. While we were on our third string quarterback and our starting Pro Bowl running back was out. And then as Lindsey is coming back, this guy doesn't call an Uber, and all of a sudden,
or a Lyft,
anything.
Well, and they have is it like a contract through someone through the team or something like that?
They have a car service. The team has a car service. They can call it
every
anytime.
Team does. But the speculation is that he probably didn't want them knowing where he was. I mean, does anyone really believe that he was out with friends having a couple glasses of wine, and the next thing you know, he's speeding through the downtown Denver on Spear Boulevard and getting pulled over? I'm not quite sure. But
well, and going off of what I heard Chad say yesterday, is it that? Or was he just embarrassed that he got drunk on wine and not like pounding out some whiskey or like shotgunning some beers or something?
I'll be the first to admit, the first time I tasted wine, and I thought it wasn't all that, whatever. And I literally drank a cup so fast, and it almost knocked me on my butt. And I was like, whoa. Now I see why people sip this stuff, because it's like it's really strong.
One big knock that I've heard on Melvin Gordon since he's been, and I don't know if it was this way before he got to Denver. I'm assuming, which is one of the reasons why he probably they let him go, is that he's very selfish, which would make sense as to why he would get the DUI and not call a service. After he was just complaining about not playing a game and complaining about this and complaining about practice and complaining about money and
not getting his bye, and
yeah,
one of the last people to show up back in Colorado when everybody else was practicing and learning the playbook, and he's posting videos from, I think he was in Florida at the time. So
yeah, Big E Broncos asking if they said where he was coming from. He was at a dinner party at a friend's house, I think is what it was. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like I don't have specifics. Like I'll see if I can find the street address, but I don't think they listed that. But as far as I know, he was at a dinner party with some friends, and then instead of calling the car service, decided to drive.
You know what? I actually had a thought as you were reading that. You could almost put this on Bill Belichick as the mastermind, because he was supposed to. The Broncos were supposed to be in New England playing on Sunday, and instead they were home. So
no,
if it wasn't for COVID,
he put the party together. It was Belichick's fault.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for COVID, he would have been in New England. He would have been with the team. He wouldn't have been out there drinking or doing whatever it is that he did anyway. And, we wouldn't have this problem. So,
Rick Fannin coming in. A Patriots fan is watching now. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. We still love you.
We're inclusive.
We still love you.
Hey, Spygate is everywhere, my friend.
That's my father-in-law. Chris's dad. So.
Well, then I guess you have to love him then.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let's see here. Let's go with Steve. Locke needs a chance to prove that he's our QB of the future. Let him finish this season before we start to discuss the QB position. Now we can take this in many different ways, because there was a couple things that I had marked down. Whereas like with Haskins, and then possibly I put down. A lot of people are talking. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, good old poltergeist and spirit fingers herself, Christy. Hi.
How you guys doing?
Good. We're just talking about stuff. What you doing? Okay, so we were talking about Steve Griffith had put this comment up about giving Locke a chance to prove that he can be our QB of the future. And we had just talked about Haskins and how we don't think he'd be a good fit. It doesn't make any sense. With Rippon obviously being our backup, I don't even think that's a question right now. What does Drew Lock have to do for the rest of the season to, let's say the Broncos get a top 15 pick? What does Drew Lock have to do to not have Denver choose a quarterback in the draft?
I personally think it's still too early because we still don't have enough tape on Drew Lock to say, he's not the guy. You need to give Drew Lock a chance to go out there and he's going to make great plays and he's going to make mistakes. And I don't think that you can make that assumption just on base the year. I mean, look at Dwayne Haskins himself. Dwayne Haskins this is actually his second year. So, and he got lucky that he didn't get hurt last year or that he's not hurt at this moment. So, unfortunately for Drew Lock, the injury bug, every time he tries to make a good comeback or, put some tape on whatever, the injury bug just happens to, bite him and it gets delayed. And then we have to wait until he gets healed up and he's coming back. But unlike last year, Drew Lock is coming back at the beginning. Well, not the beginning, but like after the first quarter of the season rather than the last. So, here's the, knock on wood that the O-line can keep this guy up so we can actually see what we have in Drew Lock and, we can stop with the comparisons.
And I think that's kind of an answer right there is he needs to be able to take a few hits without being injured. And that's kind of the question like Broncos country has is can he take the hits and keep on being the quarterback? So while I'm all for Lock and I'm in for Lock, I just need to see him play. Maybe, he's going to get hit a few times, but I need to see that he's not going to be out for 6 weeks after he gets hit a few times. So that's the answer right there. That's what Lock needs to do to stay right in there.
In his press conference yesterday, he was talking about studying other quarterbacks and that have been successful and the way they went about not getting hurt and trying to emulate that. He did kind of still say that, this is my style and this is the way I play, but then immediately backtrack to, but I'm going to change the way I'm going to go about things. And let's face it, the entire draft was supporting Drew Lock. I mean, it was just, I think the team is all in on him, at least for the time being. I don't think there's any chance that they go after a quarterback next year unless he gets some sort of a career-ending injury. I don't see it happening.
Well, and Drew Lock hasn't played a game without, except maybe one, without Elijah Wilkinson in there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he played the first half of the Houston game with James, and then he got hurt, and then Wilkinson was back in there. So he hasn't played a game without Wilkinson in there.
Yeah.
So we have no idea, if Dotson does get better. Based off of the last game. Mm-hmm. We have no idea how much time Locke is going to have to sit back there and throw and, see what he can do when he's not running for his life.
Well, I mean, he won 4 games last season with Wilkinson in there, and he was able to throw. And I just think if the guy can make some more touchdowns, if he can throw some more, then Broncos country isn't going to be, saying let's look to the draft right now. If he gets injured and he's throwing touchdowns and he's winning some games and he gets injured, this wouldn't even be a conversation. So
yeah, people need to ask themselves, look at where we were in 2015 when the Broncos won the Super Bowl to where we are now and the long journey of quarterbacks that Denver has walked. Do you really think that right now would be a great time to say, you know what, Drew Lock's not the guy and go on another God knows how many years walking that same desert trying to find another guy? So it's not worth it, and people need to realize that. And yeah, it sucks that we don't have the next Patrick Mahomes or whatever, but as long as we have a guy that can throw the ball and win games, I'm good with that. They don't have to be flashy. They don't have to be magnificent. They just have to come in and win games.
Yeah.
But you don't know if you have that, right? So
well, that's true.
and I've said it before, but the Saturday before the Steeler game, nobody was questioning whether Drew Lock was our quarterback.
Right.
The guy has an unfortunate play. What I'm excited to see is his first touchdown pass against the Patriots, and I feel like the first player he's going to hug after he throws that pass is going to be Dotson.
Yeah, right.
I agree.
I want to hug Dotson.
I do too. I want to put Dotson in a bubble after the game and leave him there, and don't bring him back out until next Sunday.
6'10", you might scare him. I think you're bigger than Dotson is.
I'm bigger than mostly everybody on that team.
Big E Broncos saying that all Drew Lock's got to do is throw more touchdowns and interceptions.
Right.
Maybe a 3-to-1 average and stay healthy the rest of the year. And I don't even think it's like stay healthy, but like if you're going to get injured, like have it be like a headache or like a cramp or something. like
Right.
Something that's not going to keep you out for 3 to 8 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And this game coming up on Sunday is a very good chance for Drew Lock to make a statement, to knock down the one team that's always been a thorn on the side of the Broncos. And I don't want to hear that, their defense isn't up to par, that their offense is whatever. If Drew Lock can go out there and beat New England, that's a big statement.
Yeah.
We're massive underdogs right now.
Yeah.
Very massive. Yeah.
Well, and we still were underdogs, just not that big of underdogs. But I don't think we're underdogs, me personally. But
No.
we'll get into that.
Not to that extent. I've seen a few that are just really, really far out.
I do want to point out that we have some shots fired in our chat. I didn't realize there were still Patriots fans. Didn't they all move on to Tampa Bay?
Only the ones that retired live in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
They're still young Patriots fans living in Foxborough.
Let's see. Nathan Leitner, first-time listener, go Broncos. Can we give Locke a chance, please? That's all he needs is a chance. I'm not going to call it, I don't know if they're fair weather fans or what, but as soon as like someone stubs his toe, it's we need to draft a new quarterback. Drew Lock is terrible. He can't do anything. I saw someone was talking about the 13 sacks that the Broncos have given up this year.
Right.
Drew Lock took one. Rippon took one. Driscoll took the other 11 in 3 quarters.
He's still standing.
So,
I mean, he's not injured, so.
And he even ran the ball in the last game.
The only thing
the
only thing that can hurt this team right now is the fact that we have no Cortland Sutton, and so Drew Lock has got to learn to make the best of what he's got with a rising star in Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy. We're getting Noah Fant back, if I'm not mistaken, on Sunday. So
50-50.
It's
50-50.
He's questionable, but I mean, if you look at it, he's going to want to play.
He might be on a snap count, and Lord knows we need him. But if Drew Lock can make the best of what the weapons he has now, this will. I know I keep repeating the same thing over again, but this is exactly what he needs to not just quiet the doubters out there, but to show the Broncos front office that their draft choice was worth it. And we don't have to worry about a quarterback selection next year. We can focus more on a linebacker or offensive lineman or whatever the need be by that time.
Yeah, and I did want to talk a little bit about Tim Patrick because I mean, he's not Cortland Sutton, but right now he's probably the best receiver we've got.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not taking anything away from Jerry Jeudy. I think talent-wise, Jerry Judy's got everybody except maybe Cortland Sutton beat. But hands-wise and knowledge of routes and chemistry with Locke, Tim Patrick's got to be your number one.
Right.
Agreed. No, I totally agree. He's really been, and he has to be because we need that veteran experience out there. And Jerry Jeudy is going to take him time to learn the ropes and run the routes he can and know how defenses play and all that. So he might not be fantastic this season, but the sky's the limit for that young man, and I expect the best of him. And it's a good thing that we have Tim Patrick out there, and as long as those guys can stay healthy, and Drew Lock can keep the number of interceptions down and the touchdowns up, we'll be in business.
And Patrick was one of the guys that some of the experts, when they were predicting the final roster, they had him as the last cut, which is shocking with some of the catches that he made in previous seasons. But I would agree with you. You know, it's no disrespect to Judy, but I think Patrick is our leader as a wide receiver right now. You know, Judy saved Rippon the other day with that catch in the Jets game. I mean, that was just insane.
Oh, the moonwalk, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Corey H. coming in. This is a find out year. We're going to find out what we have and what we still need. We should be excited for every week. This is a big year, and we still have a solid chance to compete for the playoffs. I agree, and I agree, and I don't. We do need to find out what we have, but I don't think this is necessarily a find out year. You know, I think we have more that we do know than we don't know. Like as far as Jerry Jeudy, you know, we know how he runs his routes. We know his talent level, but we don't know if he's going to be able to fix the problem with the drops. We know what we're getting in Noah Fant. We know what we have in Tim Patrick. You know, this would be a good point to talk about what we think now that we're going into Game 5 and we're starting to get injured players back. What are the positions on the team that we're still having issues with? Because the biggest one was Wilkinson, and he's not there. Dotson was way better. So I don't think that the O-line is a strength, but they're getting there. So what other positions are we still trying to figure out?
Well, if I could just go back to Corey's comment, because I do agree with him about the find out year. You know, because with all the adversity, with all the players that have been out, with all of the young players that we have, with the different type of way the athletes have to behave in their personal life, that, you know, you're really going to find out who is committed to the team, who can step up when called on. And I agree that it is a find out year. You know, in terms of the positions of need, as great as Dotson played on the other night, and I still want to see one more game with him before I can feel really good that this was, you know, is going to work out in our favor. Bowles, I mean, they really should start talking to him about his contract right now. I mean, you know, the Reisner was talking about him today and saying, you know, here's a guy that everybody was kicking when he was down, and he never let it bother them. And Shermer was talking about his relationship with Munchak and how tight they are, and what a difference he's made, you know, for him. I still think offensive line is, but you know, the inside linebackers is one for me that I would love to see some improvement on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I in terms of where our weakness is on the offensive line, it would have to be our guards, because our guards are not playing up to par. Dalton seems to be having a bit of a down start, and Glasgow has not been living up to his expectations. Cushenberry, he's a rookie, so he's gonna struggle. But hopefully, as the season goes along, he shows signs of improvement. So, you know, to show that his pick was worth the value. So for me, I would have to say start with picking up either another guard or I would say right tackle, but we don't know what we have in Juwan James yet in terms of if this COVID thing still is going on next year and he decides to sit out. So I would probably put that in, quotations. But I have to agree with Glenn. I think that inside linebacker is one of our bigger needs because, Honey Bear, he's a roller coaster right now. Yeah. He's up and down. Alexander Johnson is really good, but when you saw in those blitzes, Alexander Johnson, sometimes he's a little bit too fast, and when you go in too fast, you miss your mark, you miss the target. So yeah. I think that's where the Broncos need to target in the draft.
I agree definitely with both of you.
Let's see. Worm for Mayor. I love that name. New to the pod, I believe Drew is going to be our long-term quarterback. If he can come in and keep the mistakes to a minimum and show the flashes of last year, we're in a good place. I will agree with that. I think that even though our record is 1-3, I do believe that we are in a better place than we were in Game 2 or Game 3. If you look at how well the Titans are playing and how we should have won that frickin' game, like we can be a good team when we have all the pieces in place that are supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Now do we know if Boye is back, or is he still? Because I think Boye was the one that was like the farthest back from starting again.
I don't think he's gonna play.
He practiced today though, right?
No, off to the side.
Yeah, he was on his off. He might be a game time decision.
Let me see
I think I saw where Fangio said that it was not likely. He said it was still 50-50, but not likely.
Yeah, we don't need to rush him out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush that.
Cam Newton he's a good quarterback, but the one thing he doesn't have that he had in Carolina was really good receivers. N'Keal Harry's been struggling, and Julian Edelman is only really good for dump-offs or in the slot. So,
you say that, Adon, but Edelman has always killed the Broncos when we've played so far off the line, and he's been able to get a good head start on those slants and some of those short passes, and then he can turn into some gains, and the guy has double-digit catches and things like that.
No, you're right.
This is where Mike is going to go crazy if he sees the DBs, playing way off the line.
That makes me so mad. I hate that.
Yeah, well,
I understand it's your defense, but come on.
We saw a change in the defense against the Jets, so hopefully we'll see something different against New England instead of the same old.
Well, and this is, it's not Mahomes, but it is Cam Newton, and it's looking more like the old Cam Newton than the Cam Newton from like last year and the year before that, and before Super Bowl 50. Because, but I mean, it is going to be a situation where, you might not have to worry about the slot receiver as much or the tight end as much, but you do have to worry about Cam Newton getting, running the ball and getting out in the open. And if you're playing that far back, you're giving him all that space to run. And he's a big quarterback. Like, you don't want to get hit by that guy. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand he's a quarterback, but he's huge.
He's big, yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw what happened with Darnold. Yeah. So we can't let that happen anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something about that.
You're right, Christy. After Darnold, Flacco could gash us in the
just ball forward.
Who, by the way, is also on the trade market. I found that out before we went out live.
Surprising.
Is he? I thought he was starting this week, though.
Jets are having a fire sale. They're getting rid of everybody.
You're talking Darnold, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I thought you were talking Flacco.
Oh, no, not Flacco.
I was like, why would they trade Flacco?
Flacco has no value.
Get him a peanut butter sandwich. That's about all you're going to get.
So that just goes to show you, Darnold was with the Jets for, 3 years? And whatever he did was not enough to convince that organization to say he's our franchise guy.
Yeah.
Biggie Bronco, Glenn, you're right on track right there. Which players put the team first and which ones put themselves first. I wasn't going to put your comment up because you were agreeing with Glenn, but
I knew that was going.
I figured I had to at least once. And then he also says Cam goes into a shell when you put pressure on him. In years past, I would agree. This year, not so much. He's kind of being a beast a little bit more like he used to this year. So I don't.
Yeah, his advantage is there's no Von Miller to terrorize him this year.
And I think he's going to feel good about that going out there on the field. He's going to have a little pep in his step just because Von's not on. They should bring Von just on the sidelines just to give him the eye, like. I see you.
just have him stand there like this.
Yeah.
Just put him in with that little leg scooter he's got. He can pick it up and hold it. Come on.
You know how when they kick off and the kid runs from the sideline to pick up the tee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could go with his little scooter and go grab the tee.
His electric wheelchair.
Pay the kid to throw the tee at Cam Newton. I didn't say that.
Just to have Cam Newton do that thing he did.
See, but that's and that's the thing too is, we're talking about all our players coming back, but this, the delay has allowed their two best players
And in a way, that's a good thing because I don't know if I said this before, but sometimes it's better to beat a team when they're at their best than to beat them when they're not. And then, because then people look at that win as tainted. And I know sometimes we do that too. I know we kind of did it with the last 3 games that we lost. Like, oh, we didn't have Von Miller, that's why we lost to Tennessee. Or, oh, we didn't have Drew Lock, that's why we lost to Tampa Bay. So I know it's a force of habit. Even though you know it, sometimes you say it anyway. But that's just you as a fan.
Right. Well, and the only reason you have that win is because you played the Jets. There's always
right. That's everybody.
Well, and let's talk about the forced bye that we basically had to go through. Like, it honestly does feel like it's been 6 months since we had a game. Like, it's been forever.
Yeah.
But to start off with, I was hot. I was not happy that we were forced to have a bye. Number one, because you're letting, Cam Newton get healthy. You're letting Stephon Gilmore get healthy. But then at the same time, because of that forced bye, we're now getting Locke back. We're getting Lindsey back. We might have Fant back. Boye is going to be coming back. Maybe not this week, but next week. But it gives him another week. That also gives Bosby more time with the starters to practice. That it gives, if you go by how the Titans looked after 14 days of just preparing for the Bills. And I know that they didn't have in-person practices for a while, but just the fact that they were able to prepare for that long for one team,
right.
They destroyed the Bills.
Yeah.
And, the Bills didn't help themselves any. But going by that metric, we've had just as much time to practice against the Patriots as well. So you hope that with that extra time, we're going to look a little bit better than we have in past games.
Well, to the Bills' credit, they were missing 2 of their star defensive linemen, and Tennessee punished them for that. So, and they'll probably be without Josh Norman, who got stiff-armed into another dimension.
He entered a black hole.
Yeah, so thankfully nobody in the Broncos uniform has ever gotten stiff-armed by.
It's also not like it's Josh Norman from the Panthers. It's like half of Josh Norman. He's not all there.
Not anymore.
No.
It reminded me of at the end of the original Star Wars, when Vader is spinning off into space.
Let's see here. Biggie brings up a good point.
Yeah.
Cam Newton just got back to practice today. That is also a good point.
Very short.
But Drew Lock also just got back to practice a couple days ago. So, I am excited to see how Drew Lock is going to do. But I'm more curious to see how the defense is going to do. With the Jets game, and I wasn't planning on getting into the Patriots game, but we'll just go. With how much the defense blitzed in the Jets game, are they going to continue with the blitz, or? I hope so. I mean, the first 3 games there was no pass rush.
There was nothing. Yeah.
You kind of have to, because you cannot give Cam Newton time to figure out if he can't throw, then he's going to run. So the blitz has to be there. So you kind of have to force Cam Newton to do one. And by that, I mean, if you blitz, then he can't run. He has to throw.
Right.
And vice versa. But Cam Newton should already have a clock in his head, playing against Denver. So he does have a slight advantage, even though it's not the exact same Denver defense he faced 5 years ago. But this defense is still just as formidable. And with the way Shelby Harris has been playing, hopefully he can get those big paws up and knock some of those footballs back down to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got Purcell, who's been limited to practice with a knee. But he's going to play, right? Well, I don't think we can afford any more people out on the front 7.
We hope so. Yeah.
So Fangio was asked about Draymond Jones and DeMarcus Walker, if they could come back. And because they didn't play the game last week, they're not eligible to come off of IR.
Right.
They're still a game short, so they'll be able to come off for the Chiefs game. But unfortunately, while we're talking about the delay allowed several players to come back, it actually prohibited those 2.
Right.
Well, and I'm looking at the injury report, and they don't even have Boye on here.
I know.
No, I think he wasn't designated.
Well, he still isn't he on injury reserve?
I think so, but can you? So how does injured reserve work when coming off of injured reserve? You have to practice twice, and then you can come off, or you come off, and then practice twice, and then you can play. I'm not exactly sure how that works.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not certain.
I
think it's after a certain number of games you're able to come out. I don't know if you have to actually practice prior to that point.
Well, but like with Drew Lock coming off of IR last year, he had to practice. If he did 2 full practices, he could come off of IR. Is that what it was?
Yeah, but that was before COVID. With COVID this year, they
It's
changed
different.
a lot of that stuff around. So it's only like 2-3 week IR now instead of the what was Drew Lock out for, 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Did he have to do 10 jumping jacks?
Yeah.
We can always rely on Big E Bronco. I believe you got to pass the physical in practice, like you said, twice, and then you can come off for something like that.
Yeah, and Denver has to clear a spot on the roster for Bouye. So.
Right.
I'm sure that won't be hard.
Yeah. Right.
No.
Just get rid of one of the
plenty of spots available.
Please get rid of NA. Just send them packing. I don't care if you can't trade them. Just tell them to go home.
So, continuing with the Patriots game. Other than Julian Edelman, who in God's name do they even have to throw the ball to?
I believe Matt Lacoste is still there, former Bronco tight end.
No, he
opted
out, I believe.
Oh, he opted out. Oh, okay, so I don't even know who their tight ends.
Well, James White is the player that always scares me. I mean, he's so electric, and nobody does screen passes better than the Patriots.
Yeah, right now they have a pretty good 3 running back system with White, Burkhead, and what was his name? Harris, I think is his name. Devontae.
I think so.
Damian. I think it's Damian Harris. Damian Harris. Thank you. So with them and Cam Newton getting the chance to run and scramble, they're a pretty good running team. But you can only run so much, and especially when the defense gets a whiff of that, where it only works.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, Don, Ryan Izzo is their star tight end.
Oh, Ryan. That's right. I did see him on the waiver wire earlier today.
I asked because with even without having Boye in there, you've got Callahan who's going to cover the slot. You've got Ojemudia who's going to cover outside, and you got Bosby who's going to cover outside. Who do they even have to cover? I mean, if you go by Glenn's standards, with Corey Davis, the wide receiver, who isn't any good, and then torches the crap out of us.
You just love circling that wagon, don't you, Mike?
I do.
Well, I mean, I'm wrong so infrequently that he has to keep relying on the same.
Just the one thing.
So am I. I've been wrong, 3 times so far on this podcast?
You mean tonight?
I'm going to hit that.
So far, probably. I meant in general, but tonight, shoot, I don't know.
So
I don't think they have many weapons. That's why they're relying on Cam Newton so much to run. So we're going to see. I mean, just with the short practice week with Cam, and he's coming off. I mean, he's had COVID. Is he going to really be running? Is he feeling up to par? Is he going to be back to Cam, Mr. Superman Newton? I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, Christy. Hopefully not hopefully, but the Patriots might be rushing Cam Newton out there, who hasn't really had a long time to practice because he's been out, and maybe he lost not so much the chemistry, but kind of like the mojo that him and the offense that groove that they were on going up to their last game, and it's something that Denver could use to their favor.
I can't count on that. He's going to not do well. His season started too strongly, and I mean, look at Edelman had the game of his life with Cam Newton as his quarterback, and that was against the Seahawks, and they barely lost that game in Seattle.
Yeah,
with the 12th not this year, but anyway.
But you got to remember that
12 men.
the Chiefs defense kept them up just only to 6 points for the first half. So I'd like to think that our defense is better than Kansas City's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Well, and you wonder whether the Patriots are how they actually look is when you have Stidham or Hoyer as quarterback. Like that's what the Patriots actually look like. The only reason that they're any good is because they have Newton. So you shut down Newton, and then you wonder, like, okay, so is it just this crappy team that we're playing here? It's like their defense is okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But if you take away Newton and his ability to run, and if he doesn't have anybody to throw to, what I mean,
What are we talking about here?
They always call that.
I don't know where I was going with that. It sounded smart in my head.
Well, I mean, how did they have the chemistry before? Like, what are they doing that they have this chemistry? They're doing something. I mean, it's Belichick. He's doing something. He's doing something. So.
one of the best minds in football.
Yeah.
Grandpa Duke showing up. It's his 89th birthday today. Happy birthday, Duke.
Mile high
Happy
salute to you,
birthday.
my friend. He's the duck man.
So
You're laughing. I can hear you laughing.
I'm trying not to.
You mentioned Stidham and Hoyer. At this point, I actually think that the Broncos are in a better position with a backup quarterback than the Patriots are.
Oh, most definitely.
And one of the benefits to the game actually being delayed is that Rippon got all the reps. He got a lot of experience, even though he didn't get to play the game. We now have a second string quarterback that has practiced quite a bit, where that wasn't the case leading into the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the one. That one.
Mr. Jensen.
Hey,
Chad jumping in. Once again, Chad, we said at the beginning, but all the Broncos country's got your back. We're praying for you, thinking about you. I know it sucks. I've been there. Reach out if you need anything. We're all here for you.
Yep.
So now I lost my train of thought.
Cuckoo Cachoo.
That's
Cuckoo
not hard
Cachoo.
to do for you.
Well, you don't see a sensitive
Leave
side
me
to Mike
alone.
very often, and so rough exterior.
Oh, I was going to say, so with the fact that Driscoll is completely terrible, do you think that it's going to be a situation where they either drop Driscoll down to practice squad or release him and move Bortles up? Because, I mean, you got to think that Bortles is better than Driscoll as a backup.
Yeah.
Why is Driscoll still there?
No, they're paying way too much money to have Driscoll in the practice squad. If anything, they'll move Brett Rippon back to practice squad mode, and they'll drop.
That
No,
won't
no,
happen.
no.
He's the backup. That won't happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying they're paying way too much money to put a guy like Jeff Driscoll on the practice squad, or to even cut.
Well,
I don't know what the dead money is.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, is there any dead money hit if they cut him? I mean, would they save a lot of
I'm
cap
not
space?
sure.
You
I
wouldn't
hate
think
math.
that he's that expensive.
Well, it's not like we risk anyone stealing him from the practice squad if we can.
Right?
They might.
Yeah.
Vance Joseph.
You never know what the Texans or the Jets are going to do.
You beat me to it. Vance Joseph already stole the guy that Fangio had on the practice squad. So
Or they put him on the trade block. Maybe they're going to trade for something.
they can trade Driscoll, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
you
it-
have a little bit of tape on him. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
somebody needs another backup or
Yeah.
The
practice
tape will be
player.
a couple throws in Pittsburgh in the run against the Jets, and then
That's it.
I know
So what do you guys think is the key to the game? What do you think the difference is going to be on whether we win or lose?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah, I believe we talked about this already. It's isolate Newton. Don't give him the space to run, because he's going to do it more often than we'd like. He's going to try to confuse the defense. But if we can contain Newton, if we can keep him from running and picking up all these Lamar Jackson type yardage runs, then the Broncos can be in business. If they can keep that New England defense out there longer than our defense is and just wear them out, even if they have Stephon Gilmore, the Broncos can win this game, no doubt.
Right. I mean, you have to think in Bill Belichick's mind. What's going on in his mind? He's anticipating that's exactly what we're going to do. So you may be making some big stars out of their receivers in that game if you just focus on Cam Newton. So I think you still have to focus on, who's out there on the field, even though we don't know any of their names right now, but, they could be future stars.
We never know their names, and then that comes to bite us.
Yeah.
Did they trade for Corey Davis? That's all I care about.
I will end you.
Probably.
As much as I think that the defense is going to be big in this game, I think that the key to winning the game is going to rely on either Tim Patrick or Jerry Jeudy. Because one of them, and I don't know who Gilmore's going to cover. I'm guessing he's going to go on wide receiver 1, but is that Patrick or is that Jeudy? So whoever isn't being covered by Gilmore, I think is going to be the key to the game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on Jeudy because New England cannot let Jerry Jeudy run wild with those jump cuts he loves to do, or even with that speed he has. So Gilmore's the closest one, although he's already been burned. You saw what Seattle did to Gilmore with DK Metcalf. So
well, and do we know who the third wide receiver is now that Hamler's not in?
I believe it's Deshaun Hamilton.
Is it?
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what the status is on Tyree Cleveland, and I can't even name another one. But let me just
See?
let me just say, I want to go on record that if Melvin Gordon's suspension starts, whenever it starts, Denver should bring up Khalfani Muhammad as his temporary replacement.
Or find him wherever he's at.
Find him. He's got to be somewhere. That's the guy I want to be running back number 2 behind Lindsey.
But isn't Muhammad a lot like Lindsey? So isn't that kind of? I mean, don't you want like the opposite?
It's only temporary.
2 Lindseys?
I mean, I'm not saying like Royce Freeman by any means. Good Lord.
Yeah,
but like, do you want to have like a Muhammad and Lindsey who are kind of similar, or do you want to have that change of pace?
I'm sorry, but I did not like the free agent signings that from that list that I read earlier. Those guys are even worse, and the only one that really stood out to me was Khalfani. And yeah, you're right. Him and Lindsey are very much in terms of the same type of running back, but if that's what's only available and it's only temporary, then
because I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Lindsey. I'm not saying he can't run inside, but his bread and butter is not running inside.
No, right, I hear you.
I think Adon is like a part-time agent for Muhammad because bring him up in every conversation that we have. But
I just love the way he plays, man.
He was great. I think
like
the key to the
Lindsey.
game is. Well, here we go.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah. Albert with keep rushing him, put pressure on Cam. I want to see him cry again. I think we all do.
Right.
I think we all do. But on the offensive side, we got to keep the ball in our hands, and the way to do that is give it to the Colorado kid and let that chip on the shoulder take over and see what happens. I can't imagine he's going to have a poor game this year or this week.
He's ready to come back
after this opportunity.
Well, and that kind of goes with what Nathan Leitner is saying. If the interior offensive line can keep a clean pocket for Locke, we win, and Locke shows everyone he's the guy. And I completely agree. He hasn't had a clean pocket ever.
No.
Yeah. You have to remember that the one thing that kills most quarterbacks, especially if they're great, is time of possession by the enemy, by the opposing team.
The enemy.
The enemy.
The enemy.
I mean, you saw in the last division game between the Chiefs and the Raiders. That's exactly how they isolated Mahomes. So this is something that Denver has to do when they're on the offense. Chew up clock, don't go 3 and out, try not to throw an interception, and even if you have to resort to a field goal, at least you didn't turn the ball over or fumble.
Let's get this question real quick, and then we'll go into the predicting the game. Who do you think is going to do the best against the Patriots? If we're talking players, again, I'm going with whoever's not being covered by Gilmore. And I'm not saying Gilmore is the greatest in the world, but he is the best corner that they have. So whoever is opposite of that, I think is going to be the breakout player of the game.
I think Phillip Lindsay's in for a big game. He's got a lot to prove, and he's still hungry. I'm sure he's more than motivated to go, and wasn't happy that he had to be pulled out of the Titans game in Week 1 because of turf toe, of all injuries. So I think that Lindsay's in for a big day.
I think it's going to be Drew Lock. He's going to have a day. I mean, he's ready. He's ready to come. I mean, he hears all the chatter about everything, and he's probably got the biggest chip on his shoulder out of everybody right now because he's hearing trade Lock, and he one game and he's out. He's ready to come back and show everyone, what he's got because he has something. We've all seen it. So,
yeah,
it's going to be Lock.
You know who we haven't talked about? Bradley Chubb.
I know. I was going to say that earlier. He's going to have a good game.
Well, and you wonder if a lot of that is going to have to be because of the blitz. I mean, without the blitz, he hasn't really been able. He's been around the quarterback, but he hasn't been able to get to it.
Right.
So, if they continue to blitz, I definitely think that Chubb could be a difference maker. If they don't,
well, and that's what we saw Vaughn struggle last year because of that the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was double teamed, but it was the same thing for him. So I think Fangio has had an awakening of some sort, and we're going to see the blitz.
Yeah.
Biggie Bronco with what Dalton Reiser said today at the end of his press conference. I believe the offensive line is going to stand up this week and not sit down. I hope so. Let's go, Cushionberry. So. Lock it up. All right, so let's go with our predictions for the Broncos-Patriots game. Again, for the second week in a row. Who do you got? How much you got them by?
I say Denver 30-20. 21 at the most.
I have Broncos 27-23.
Okay. I'm going Broncos. I don't know what the score is going to be. I don't know. This season is a I don't know kind of season.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. So I'm thinking it's going to be like Broncos 54, Patriots 7. That's what I'm going with.
You're wild. You're just over the top of it. Like, come on.
We don't get extra points for getting the score right, so I can say whatever I want.
The man is right.
Going into the AFC West predictions, it was interesting because so 6'10" Christy and Glenn are all at 10-7, and I made a terrible. I chose the Chargers, and I was close.
It was a close game.
So close. So I'm 8-9. I'm 2 games back.
Still a terrible person.
It's because of your wild predictions, like 50s.
I can predict wild scores all I want.
You might as well say 100-0.
Done. 100-0. That's the score.
Good.
Well, you have a chance to catch up because the Raiders and the Chargers are off this week.
Yep. So we got Chiefs versus Bills.
Chiefs. The Bills' defense is way too beat up. Josh Allen seems to be struggling. And unless they find some miracle to win like the Raiders did last week, I don't see them beating Kansas City.
Even with the Chiefs.
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Chris.
you go.
So even with the Chiefs losing last week, I just it's so hard to pick against them.
Yeah.
I'm going Chiefs.
Although I was happy they lost, for the record.
See, I wasn't.
I was.
I was sad that the Raiders won, but I was happy that Kansas City lost.
Finally. I didn't want the Raiders to get
that win
closer to, but also closer to the wild card. We're competing for the wild card.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. The same thing. Like if the Chiefs win that, the Chargers are right there with us. If the Raiders lose, they drop down. That's 2 teams we can shoot above. But now that they beat the Chiefs, that's it's starting to.
Hey, I had to try to find a ray of sunshine in that storm. Okay, leave me alone.
No, I got a lot of crap from the Raiders people for that, and I just can't.
Why? Because you chose the Raiders?
I just can't handle that.
Well, I can't catch you if I choose the same people as you. So I'm going to have to stop choosing last because I'm going to have to go with the Bills or I can't catch you. So I'm going to start guessing first, and then you guys can change.
That's just a deeper hole for you to dig out of, my friend.
Right. I mean, I really want to go. Against the Chiefs, and I feel like something
about to happen
is telling me to go ahead and the Chiefs are going to lose. Sorry.
You can't change it.
Yeah, I didn't say they were going to win.
The game hasn't even started yet.
Nope.
Yep. Okay.
Big E Broncos 34-10. It's not 100-0. Albert Knoppers 24-28 for the Broncos. Nathan Leitner 27-20 Broncos.
It's close.
No, I'm not even reading that one. Rick Pats 31 Broncos 17. You made that 3 a 1. It should be 31-37. Duke Mundungus is a terrible person. Yeah, but I didn't just turn 89.
Does it get older every time?
Yes. Every single minute he gets older.
Bless that cowboy.
All right, so we need to.
How is it that Zoe is saying hi to Christy, but she doesn't even say hi to her own dad? That's.
I know.
It's never cool to say hello to your dad.
The Twilight Zone.
You can't. Yeah, she says hi to you enough.
I'm not the favorite on the pod.
All right, so that is gonna about do it for us. We need to get going. Just as a reminder, make sure you go over to our YouTube page, like and subscribe, turn on notifications, follow us on Twitter at MHRT Podcast, and make sure you head over to our Facebook. Make sure you head over to our Facebook page, like and follow us there as well. We are pushing. We're working on 100 followers right now on YouTube. We're so close. We want to hit that threshold and then push for more. So let's get on to our YouTube page, like and subscribe, and turn on notifications. We'll see if we can get that goal. We want to thank you guys so much for jumping in. We can't do it without you. Boom! That's right.
And the old block.
She redeemed herself.
Oh, there you go.
Duke, what is wrong with you? Bronx 20, Pats 23.
That's just out of spite, man.
How
That's just out of spite.
I'm gonna put this one back up just to end the podcast with because I don't want to end it with this losing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and head out. We will see you guys next week. And remember, we are now live at 6 Central instead of 5. We want to make sure you guys have the best opportunity to jump in here. So we moved it back an hour so you guys have a better chance. We will see you guys next week. We appreciate it. Love y'all. Have a good rest of the week.